You send a text, you see the read receipt, and then you wait. For young men in the modern dating pool, this is familiar agony. You are dealing with sudden flakiness, unpredictable interest, and conversations that shift from warm to freezing cold without warning. The standard reaction to this unpredictability is to turn inward. Men tend to internalize the hesitation, assuming a woman's sudden distance is a direct, negative reflection of their absolute and unchangeable self-worth. But human attraction does not operate as a fixed score. The decision to commit to a partner is not a static metric tied to how objectively good or bad you are. Dating behavior is actually driven by a subconscious algorithm of risk assessment, operating strictly on the principles of game theory. Game theory is the mathematical study of strategic decision-making in situations where players compete for optimal outcomes. That confusing, flaky behavior is rarely a localized reaction to you personally. It is simply the visible output of an invisible mathematical equation constantly running in the background. Every participant in the dating market is attempting to maximize their relationship return before their leverage runs out. This is a classic example of optimal stopping. Optimal stopping is a mathematical problem about choosing the exact right time to take a specific action to maximize your reward. You can think of this high-stakes risk assessment like a game of blackjack. Most people start with a sum less than 21. They have to decide whether to settle for the value they currently hold or take a new card. Taking a new card could slightly improve their hand, or it could destroy the endeavor entirely. The first major variable in this algorithm is the time limit. Physical attractiveness is a primary driver in the sexual marketplace, and for everyone, that leverage naturally diminishes over time. In this psychological game, waiting too long for the perfect partner is how you bust. You refuse to settle, you age out of the ability to secure a preferred relationship, and suddenly you are over 21. This graph shows relationship leverage plotted against time. The biological and social probability of securing an ideal relationship remains stable for a long period, before eventually hitting a steep decline straight into the bust zone. The underlying terror of crossing that time threshold forces participants into a constant balancing act. They have to continuously weigh the safety of settling with the hand they have against the absolute risk of ending up with nothing. The second essential variable is the environment. A man's relationship value is never judged in a vacuum. A woman's decision to commit to a partner is always weighed against the alternative options available in her immediate social circle. In blackjack terms, those alternatives are the dealer's show card. This animation shows a central figure's numerical value score dynamically shifting. The exact same individual is perceived as high value or low value, depending entirely on the attractiveness of the competitors standing directly next to him. This creates the ambiguous decision zone. It is the equivalent of holding a 16 against a dealer's 10. The mathematical odds of finding someone better are incredibly slim, but settling for a 16 feels like giving up. This mathematical paralysis connects directly to the frustrating symptoms men see in the real world. The back-and-forth vacillation, the unreturned texts, and the sudden impulsiveness all occur when the odds are ambiguous. There is a paradox here. When a woman exhibits this flakiness, she actually finds the man attractive, just not definitively attractive enough to eliminate her fear of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the potential benefit a person loses when they choose one alternative over another. All of the agonizing unpredictability in modern dating is simply the psychological friction of a person who is terrified of leaving money on the table. Realizing this equation exists is liberating. A massive portion of a woman's dating decision is dictated by her internal biological timeline and her external social environment. You do not control either of those factors. The optimal strategy is to stop agonizing over uncontrollable variables and instead optimize the exact components you can actively influence. The first actionable tactic is to increase your base value. By actively improving your physical fitness, your financial stability, and your character traits, you are effectively upgrading the cards in your own hand. The second tactic is becoming a contextual alpha. A contextual alpha is a person who strategically relocates to specific social environments where their unique traits make them the absolute best option present. This heat map of social networks shows how moving a player node from a highly competitive cluster to a less saturated area dramatically increases their local dominance. Finding a niche with weaker competition is mathematically equivalent to playing against a weak show card. It instantly and artificially boosts your odds of securing a commitment. By removing your ego from the equation and treating rejection as an impersonal system of relative value, you can strategically engineer your environment. You stop relying on luck and start making sure the math is overwhelmingly in your favor.